Oh, fucking finally. Took me some time. Copy video URL. Let me quickly change the sound if it works alright. I'm just gonna watch my stream. Can I hear myself? Yeah, I guess I can kinda hear myself. Really awkward to start whenever there is no viewers, because I don't know, just like the fact that I'm streaming kind of breaks my brain a bit. But anyway, this is planned just so I wouldn't spend any more time on it, rewriting the script. So it's not as much for the stream as just for me to calm down and never get to it again. So let me get my script. Yeah, the first thing is how, whenever you ask people, like if you don't understand color, you in the art community, you ask general questions. Sometimes the answer might be you get some of is what the fuck. You might get pictures that kind of look like this, like you use only this, right? Use only this, like saturation and brightness, which is like it kind of makes some sense, but it's wrong. It's never gonna help you, because like the reason most pictures are in this range is so that you can use actually like the high contrast stuff. It's only like, it's only to actually like use those parts. That's why you need to generally stick to more neutral colors. Anyway, the other thing that people might say is that, you know, the color theory, right, which is what I'm trying to explain, is a scam. Well, you know, color theory is not like some strict rules, strict rule book that is written by someone that you can quote, but generally it's the same thing everywhere. So let me quickly Google the color wheel. So I'm gonna watch my own stream, but just with no sound to make sure that everything is working. Okay, color wheel, color wheel. Where is the color wheel? This looks like a color wheel. Use local file. Why can't I? What? As a new layer. Do you want? No, no. I like. I'm sure I will figure it out how to do it. Just give me I'm gonna just screenshot it. I'm sorry. I'm too stupid. As yeah. So whenever people talk about color theory, usually the color wheel gets into the discussion, and so they, after just describing some random bullshit, what they usually mean by color theory is the color harmonies, which is, you know, like yes, color is a wave, maybe there is like a harmony as with sound. It's bullshit, but you know, maybe it all makes sense, right? So, and again, you can Google it on YouTube. There is gonna be like many videos, and it's all gonna be the same, absolutely the same. So the first thing they tell you is, well, the first color harmony is you can use just, you know, one hue. And you can use it like this because it's a good color harmony, right? Then they say, well, yeah, you can, but you can also, you know, use hues in a range, like so. And it creates a good color harmony. Or you can, you know, use them from like if there is a center on 180 degrees, because for some reason it's also good color harmony, right? And you, at some, like usually whenever you hear this, you might wonder, like, okay, so those, like if I, let's say, pick red, I also use blue, and the other colors are bad, right? What, it's supposed to help you, right? Like it's supposed to help you to pick the colors. So if you pick those, you can't pick those, right? Like those are supposed to be the bad colors. But the next thing they tell you is, well, actually you can use the colors on 4 sides, you can use colors on 3 sides, you can use colors on like 4 sides, but when they are like close to each other. Like the problem with this is any set of colors that I can, you know, pick, they will you will be able to put it into some good color harmony. Like everything is a good color harmony, right? Like whatever the fuck you do, it's gonna be a good color harmony. By the way, let me okay, 8 viewers, no chat, maybe just bugs. I unfortunately I cannot check it on YouTube myself because I used the uBlock Origin to just remove the chat from the page. Oh. Anyway, so yeah, we look. I really hope I don't need to explain further that if your rule says that everything is good, then you know nothing is good. Like what's the point, right? If everything is a good color harmony. Okay, so that's bad. It doesn't make sense. Well, you know, like what does then, right? Like what do you do? And the thing is, with let me check the. Do you want to? I thought it could be, you know, useful for you to see the script so you could structure it yourself maybe later. Yeah. So let's take a couple of steps back and look at everything else in art that makes pictures look good, right? Like what do you usually look for? And it's 2 things. You look for contrast and information. What I mean by contrast, right? Like stuff like position, size, line weight, value, whatever. you always look for contrast, right? Like if let's say you have a composition and you want to look at a certain thing. Let's say I want the viewer to look at the top right corner. One way to do it, right? With just orientation of the same thing, or I can use the size contrast, right? Like you instantly look into this thing. And I know this is like very simplified, but all those things really make sense in practice once you add it together, and we will come to it, so just wait for it, right? And again, it's the contrast, right? It's not like small size that it gets your attention. You can go completely opposite, right? Or you can, put it here. Again, it's the contrast that pushes the composition. And then maybe, it also might make sense. It's a face. So now the lines got meaning and also the contrast. So, and yes, it's that simple. Wait, what did I? Maybe I need to do a bit more examples, right? Like again, if I want the viewer to look at the top right corner. Even though the contrast against the background is lower, the still the overall contrast in the pattern of the composition is higher, so it drives your eye in here. So again, with maybe we can show like now the contrast is bottom right, but if everything is square, the contrast is gonna be upper right. Here with like super simple stuff, it's really hard to talk about meaning. Also, if I can see the chat. I like, even though this is a live stream, I position it as just making a recording to never bother about it again, because the way I feel it is just after watching everyone having problems with this, I have to. I feel like I have to, and especially because I had problems with it myself. I remember what was recommended a book, Color and Light by James Gurney. He's a good artist, right? Like, he's a really good artist, but like his book was just bullshit, honestly. If you want to learn color, it's bullshit. It's just guy saying, well, in this illustration I made it really bright, that's why it works. And in this illustration I made it really dark, that's why it works. In this illustration, blah, 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 blah. It's just like bullshit. He's just showing you his different work without anything like really related to how color works, and he just said, well, here I tried to do this and it's good. Bro, you just don't understand the rules that you based it on, because they are almost subconscious and almost like neural network trained on good art, like most of us, honestly. So we understood, like, with position, shape, maybe one more thing to show is the contrast of line weight, yeah? Just to make sure, right? You're gonna look at this one. It doesn't matter that it's thinner, even though like you're supposed to think that thicker attracts more. It's the contrast. in relationship. Will I save the stream? I actually don't know. I think YouTube right now saves it by default. Whenever I try to Google it, I open settings on YouTube, and like the answers on Reddit, like from 5 years ago, said that you have to check it, but there is no option. So I imagine it's gonna automatically save. Prima, I know about painting. It's not about painting. It's about color specifically. But actually, it's maybe not. It's this video is mostly about to show how color works, like everything else, like literally everything else in art, mostly. Let me again check my bad that I didn't make some of the drawings I wanted. Spent a bit more time on exporting the settings for Krita. Actually, Krita is a good software, you know. I missed it myself completely. Tried it like years before and it was shit. Right now it's really good. Discuss, contrast, supposed to value. Yeah. So remember this example with value, but if you imagine, I'm really sorry, like those are very primitive and I should have done it much earlier. Yeah, like actually the brush, the thing about, like, it's not the brush engine, it's the brush engines. Like you can actually like just pick the brush engine in Krita, and the fact that it has the lasso fill, and with this lasso fill you can change the way it behaves whenever you like double swing the area. So you can either stack it, so it would all be filled, or it's gonna be inverted, which is I think the first software where it's actually an option. Okay, so let's I'm sorry. So it's a thing to discuss the value contrast. Yeah, if you, let's say, want to go here. If maybe like your background here, the only way you can create contrast is going as high as possible from here, and sometimes it might be impossible. For example, let's say you have a character on a background, and you want the white hair to be really like visible and have cool shapes. But it's a very bright background, so it's gonna look like shit. Well, sometimes in art, yeah, of course you can add a bit of line to it. That's usually how most of those things get fixed with stylization, and whenever you are allowed to use the line within the genre. But what I'm gonna try to tell you how color, by making everything more complicated, actually making it much easier to look at. Also, I think I forgot my presets. Let me check how. Multiply. Yeah, I usually draw in LAB or lab, because it gives better mixing. I don't really use the layers this much, but here, now that I have, I think, everything here available, I think it's in whatever other color space is. Let's save it as file 4. So, as an example, yeah, we sometimes have problems with contrast by just using the value, because let's say, what if we are limited by the required meaning? Like, what if we want to draw a blonde hair character, but the requirement for the illustration or for concept art, whatever, is that it's on a white background? It's going to be really hard to support the hair, and so, and you're limited, right? If you want to create contrast from here, the only way you're gonna go is to go dark. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna make the sky black, or the hair? Because, you know, again, we are limited by the required information. Okay, so let me quickly create a new layer. So why can't I? Oh. And so now, instead of just having one dimension, we also add one more dimension with yeah, you can think of color as a 3D value, where value, a component of color, is just one dimension. When we add the saturation, and can I transform it? Yeah, I can. Can I skew it? How do I skew in Krita? What? Whoa. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. I think there has to be a setting for the tool that I'm oh yeah, now it works. So I wanted to draw a line to kind of show how it's a 3D figure. So it's red. Oops. Oh yeah, I really got used to good mixing of using LAB, but so what I'm trying to say is, whenever you add, so color is, like, value is one dimensional, yeah, from, let's say, 0 to 10, let's say 5, 5, 5. Now that it has 3 components, it has 3 dimensions, and whenever we were limited to creating contrast on one dimension, and we might be locked by just maybe the only meaning that we can create, the only meaningful option is in a really small range that we cannot create the value contrast. Now, within this, like, virtual prism, it's not prism, whatever, the pyramid, within this virtual pyramid, if we want to create a contrast for any color, we are not limited to go in one direction, right? We can go anywhere, literally anywhere, and it's, you know, this thing that can allow us, whenever we have, you know, problems like the white hair and the in a daytime illustration, we can, let's say, the hair is gonna be more like on the is gonna be more on the red side, yellowish red, and the background is gonna be more blue. and because we might not use any extra values for the character itself, we might actually use something that's not far away from this blue on the, well, yeah, it should be dark, but we can, you know, use, it looks like shit honestly, but it in the good illustration, when everything is working together, it would look good. So now we can create the contrast even though we are limited with value, right? And we can solve problems. I promise I will draw something better whenever the time will come. I for some reason have a thing that says warning. What the fuck? Oh, on YouTube it works. Huh. Okay. Let me check the and yeah, so we discussed how, you know, we can go anywhere to create contrast, so we are much more free than with value being just one dimension. We can go anywhere, right? Like if let's say, like, just logically for our illustration, we cannot go we cannot change hue, we can change saturation. If we can change hue and saturation, we can change value. If we can change again, right? Gives us much more choice to adjust the composition. Let me just quickly check the comments. The elements of color system, color system, Jonathan, I unfortunately cannot read a book right now, or even multiple books to give a comment on this. I imagine it's just based on my experience. It's gonna be probably really bad. Like, just most of the art content is nonsense, unfortunately. So wait, the script, information of color. Yeah. So sometimes usually in the same videos when you discuss color, because again, they usually say, well, you know, color harmony, everything is a color harmony. Then they start to push like absolute bullshit, like the red is violence color, the blue is wise color, the purple is I don't fucking know, honestly. Whatever. What I'm going to explain, and it might be a bit harder because again I failed with getting all the examples before the stream properly. I have some stuff here, but that I will try to explain maybe on some of my own works, but it's gonna be a bit later. So the information of color, like, okay, I'm just gonna Google on the other page. So, you know, red is Christmas. Sometimes I think I hope I won't get copyrighted for, you know, using pictures from the internet, but like they will tell you that, you know, red is a violence color, red is an aggressive color, and I oops, again, failure with copy pasting, and I will, you know, put like stuff like is this like violence? Is Santa Coca-Cola is an aggressive color of death? at the same time, they will tell you know green is a healing color, green is a natural color. And of course, you again can absolutely find uses where green is exactly the opposite. And the same with, let me quickly Google something. And then, you know, blue is a cold color. It like fucking freezes you to death, right? And, you know, like, there is not a lot of red here, right? So what I'm trying to explain with those examples is that colors on their own really don't have any meaning. It's always about the association. Like, yeah, in general, it might be like, yes, green, especially if you have an illustration where it's maybe divided into two parts, and one is very bluish and another one is very green. Yes, it gets comfortable. It gets like a natural, healing, comfortable color, but that's only because of the structure that you have here, where you instantly get the association that it's actually grass, which is cool. But it's imagine if it's like fucking slime coming down from the ceiling. Doesn't look like healing color anymore, isn't it? So what I'm trying to say is that color is contextual, color is information on their own, colors don't have any meaning. And what I'm trying to say is, again, those videos are bullshit, not just half of them. It's full bullshit. Again, you can like literally just open YouTube and every single video is gonna be where they show you the fucking color wheel, say that everything is a good color harmony, and then they will explain colors because they have to, you know, explain something else, and nothing works. Nothing. Let me quickly check my notes for the explanation. So far, I haven't, you know, said anything on what to do. Note, while yes, the hue, saturation, and value are dimensions of color, they are not equal simply because of how our eyes physically work. The value is much more important. Consider then that when designing the contrast. Yeah, because like how our eyes have different like physical devices to differentiate the if there is light or if there is no light, and what kind of light. Yes, yes, this thing works. You can go any direction to create the contrast, but going this way or that way is going to be much more drastic for the composition and the contrast. Yeah. Yes, about the color wheel again. Fucking color wheel. I'm just gonna quickly copy and paste it. For some reason, everyone seems to think that to create the maximum contrast, you have to go diagonally. And I honestly don't think that's true. I think the maximum contrast is going to be achieved just by moving one primary color. This color wheel is actually a bit fucked because like this is obviously, you know, the red, and It really like gets a lot of space for just to yellow transition, and the primary colors are, you know, green and blue. That's also why, you know, those things are bright. That's why yellow is bright. That's why cyan is bright, and that's why purple is bright, because, you know, it's two colors together. It's like both red. What's the word? It's both radiating red and blue, and this both radiating blue and green. That's why they are bright. Yeah. So imagine we had a good color wheel, right? So the opposing thing would be somewhere here, and people would tell you, you know, to go for the, you know, to create like again, they don't talk about contrast, but they whenever they go into that complementary, is it? Yeah, that's how they call it, complementary color. They go 180 degrees on the color wheel, and I honestly don't think you have to go that far. I think whenever you go here or in any place here, it's gonna be the same. It actually doesn't look that impressive because this color wheel is bullshit. Like, I honestly don't understand why you would need to have so much for the orange. So yeah, here's a good example. If you want to come up with a contrast for this color, I don't think there is a much difference if you're gonna go here or anywhere in between. Like, yeah, here it's not gonna be a lot, but I don't think there is actually a difference whenever you, again, we can just, you know, try. Like if again, as an example, right, if we have and this, you're gonna look at this because it's, you know, a lot of contrast, right? A lot of contrast, it gets your attention, and I don't here you will look at it, but because of the value, right? Don't forget the value. So man, because it's not LAB as I'm used to, yeah, it also gets a bit tricky because we used the highest saturation and we can't really like, yeah, I don't really think there is a huge difference whenever you go one primary color on the color wheel. So, you know, that if you have this color, this whole thing is maximum contrast, right? Okay, let me quickly nice tree. Will you be saving it as a I said already, but I have no idea how it actually works. I'm streaming on YouTube for the first time, personally. There is no option. I think it has to be saved. Yeah. So what's next on the... It's really hard to talk a lot. My throat is already suffering a bit. Yeah, I kind of mentioned that. Yeah, maximum saturation has different values, and it's not only due to this thing where I, you know, explain how when you have both radiating blue and red, here it's gonna be them together. Like it's how the monitors work, right? You have 3 lamps, 3 LEDs. Like, of course, like one shining is gonna be less bright than 2 shining, right? So, and this is 2 shining. So obviously, yeah, those things are gonna be brighter, but at the same time, yes, if you pick even, you know, those colors, their value is gonna be different. It's honestly this stuff, how with both like how human brain fucks everything up, how people are imperfect, like how your eyes are different physically, how your brain is different physically, how like people see different colors, how on your eye you also have sensors per eye, like not per eye, per color, and they work differently. So like different color people see in a different way, because maybe like your eye gets more green and your friend's eye gets more red because of physical difference, and because how it's hard to translate into a screen that works in a different way than real life. It's probably gonna be really fucking hard to explain why they are different in value. Right, so some stuff you better just give up on understanding it, honestly. So the next thing is, I deleted it again. Yeah, so sometimes whenever we're gonna talk about contrast, if I will have some examples here, let's say it's gonna be like blue, and we will use some high contrast colors. Even like green might be more contrasty because of how you like culturally, how your brain is set up to read from left to right or from right to left. You're gonna give a priority to one of them. Again, it's just something we can't control, so you know, you can kind of ignore it probably. Sorry. Deleted it again. Oh yeah, also the thing is, you probably saw a lot of pictures of on Twitter, maybe animes, stuff like this, where the face has very little contrast, like in this looks so ugly now. Can I like draw it so it wouldn't look like shit? Let me just redraw it. We'll try to. Often on drawings, like what you want to show is the character, and the main thing that the character has its face, right? And maybe the character is doing something, but quite often you don't really have to do anything because of how, like, you know, the reason why you might want to show the character face and its hands is because it's important what they're doing and what emotion they express and where they're looking. But you can find a lot of pictures where the face has like really low contrast. It might be the thing with the least contrast in the picture and it still works. It's gonna work only with face and hands, because your brain has like a feature to instantly check for the face and hands, just to make sure that, you know, there is no danger in the situation. It's not there is no maybe knife in someone's hands, or they don't look at you like they want to eat you alive. So this works. It's a main. It just might confuse you a bit whenever you see a lot of artworks where what I'm saying is exactly the opposite, but it's because the focal points are always are often face and hands, and you don't really have to have a huge contrast for them to work because of how the brain works. But for other stuff, it works. Okay, so what next thing to explain? Yeah, also, you know, often red is used as like a stop sign color, so it gets a bit more attention than other colors, but that's not because of the contrast. It's just, you know, a bit of brain trickery combined with culture. Oh yeah, one more thing. Whenever I wanted to initially show an example, I forgot it, and we're gonna get to it all soon. Let's say we have two parts, right? What I would try to tell is there is no difference at like which one gets more attention, but it's obviously the left one, right? Why is that? Well, because you don't load that picture directly into your brain. Like it has everything around it, and even if you full screen, like there is still an environment around your monitor that's probably not gonna be really high saturated red. So yeah, it gets more contrast just because of the environment. So you have to, you know, keep it in mind. The next thing is oh yeah. Can I go back to it now? Can I create a new layer? I really like this drawing for some reason. Ended up being cute, but no color. Keeping it here would kind of, this stream would look like scam if the only drawing is without color. We will get to it. I promise we will get to it. So yeah, more examples. If yeah, let's like create a background around it. Whenever things like just like area of things is 50-50, it doesn't matter what color you're using. The contrast is relative. Like how is those are the only colors that are on the screen, so the contrast is relative, and no color gets more contrast, no color gets more attention. So it doesn't matter which colors you're gonna use. Can I, like, where is the yeah, it doesn't matter. You never get any change in the composition despite, you know, changing colors drastically. But you can have another example with, I'm gonna, oops. Let me quickly draw another example, and that's gonna be, oops. Can I like draw a rectangle? I hope it's not gonna get filled. Okay, it's not gonna get filled, and we're gonna draw. Okay, whatever, should work. whenever we have already a composition that we might want to fill with something, let's say we fill can I don't want it to be filled. Fill? No, not filled. Yeah, now it's gonna be good. Good example. Will the color bucket work on all layers? This way? Yeah. So we have a composition, right? Like already this is the only, the circle is the only thing in the composition, and you're gonna look at it. So we don't really have to fix anything with color. Well, we can support with color. And what the example here is that we cannot break things whenever they are super simple. That's why a lot of very high contrast styles work despite colors being sometimes a bit random. The thing is, if you use the same color, well, you know, the composition works the same way. You oopsies. You still, your attention gets into that circle. It doesn't change anything. But if you let's say if you change colors, now it's actually should have drew it on another level. So now it's the same thing but harder. It's basically like you're just enhancing your what already was in your composition because it's super simple. Like it's not gonna, and again you cannot make it other way. If you let's say oopsies, if you make this all saturated red and this desaturated blue, it's still gonna work because the contrast is relative. It's not gonna somehow magically, because the background is red color, it's not gonna go other way. It's still gonna go the same way because the contrast is relative, right? Okay. And now is gonna be, I think it should be like a really simple example, one more simple example, and that is so again, what we had before is the areas with 50-50 where we don't affect anything composition wise, we don't draw the eye to any part. We have this very primitive example where the composition works, but because it's so simple, by changing colors, it's only gonna push it. There is no way to like make it not work. And right now it's gonna be the first example where we can actually change something. I don't want it to be filled. It shouldn't be filled, no? Hello? The fuck? I don't know what is going on. I will try to fix this goofiness in some other ways. Like, why? Okay, whatever, I guess I will do it like this then, right? So we have now 3 parts, and I know it's gonna be really like obvious, right? But whenever now we can create the contrast. Like you want your viewer to look at the top left. Well, easy, right? Like those are not that far away and the green is far away, so it creates more contrast. You can even like push the saturation to push it to green. Now let's say we want the viewer to look at the right part. Right now the blue is the most contrast. Again, it's not about like we don't the composition balance changes not because something has more vast, not because something is brighter, not because something is darker, not because something is red or blue or what, it's because of the contrast relative to the whole composition. Yeah. So if this is very saturated and this is very saturated, we can easily still drive the eye to the other part by just, you know, desaturating it. Or it's actually, you know, yeah, here the change is really drastic. So I'm kind of working against myself. Okay, so that's the third example where we can actually, you know, change the composition. And I'm gonna quickly check. Let's do examples. Let's create palettes to visualize. Maybe we can discuss work of others before. Yeah, I feel like my actual process right now might be a mess because I didn't draw in a long time, so we can start by discussing the works of others, and then I will maybe like discuss my works, and then maybe I should draw it right now. Let me check the YouTube. Yeah, it's still working. Great. Can I like have chat in now? Okay, now I can check everything. Okay, so let's now discuss how a color palette might look like. So the biggest problem here is that those things that make composition good are rarely talked about in the mainstream art content. So it might be a bit hard for me to explain some of this stuff, but generally it's very basic, right? So imagine like you have a composition, you have maybe a background, something happens, maybe some clouds, maybe some trees, and then there is a character. He's gonna be standing on the ground, or he's gonna be cropped, right? A character, maybe with something in his hand. So, a character on a background. And that character probably has maybe some features, right? Maybe a collar, or not collar. It's like how this thing called in English? Like that just hangs, the scarf, whatever. Maybe he has like maybe a funny hat. How you could translate that into a palette would be, let's just use, you know, like default ratios, 70-30. Oops. So let's say this is like the big, this is the small, and the small has its own small. So if you're gonna plan colors, you always need to think about like how the contrast is gonna be working in like, yeah, you need to think how the contrast is. Of course you're gonna anyway, so like how would you put that illustration into set of colors here, right? Like what's where. So the obvious thing is how to like visualize it and simplify for your brain. Again, this is not how you should plan your work. This is mostly about how you should think about it, right? So this is going to be the lowest contrast, because it's the biggest. It doesn't matter what sort of colors you're going to put. It should be the lowest contrast. This should be maybe like a character. And this should be maybe like a focal point on the character's something, right? Some you know, main part. So and we're also gonna be limited by the, like, you know, the sky cannot be purple. So I really don't know how to. Oh, I forgot. I have the new shortcuts here. So we can easily start by imagining. Okay, so this should be lowest contrast. We don't have to go like textbook, right? We can still use high saturated colors, but the thing is, whenever you're gonna be mixing them, right, like if you're gonna mix it like that, yeah, you can make the character like overall this thing to have the contrast by maybe lowering the, you know, the value. Like you will still, you could still differentiate the, like this part from this part. They are like different. But if you have really high contrast here, maybe not as high actually, and here something a bit higher contrast, like it gets a bit harder, right? So bro, I like your work. What this is? This is a simplification to understand to explain the basic rules. That's what it is. Okay, so you can approach it by you need to think how this thing should have the least contrast. Let me just like, this should think has like one contrast. This thing should have two contrast, more contrast, right? More contrast, and this thing has to have the most contrast. So you, whenever you are planning on the colors, you always have to keep it in mind. So to make the life much easier for ourselves, we can really, even though, you know, the color has to be blue, we can really tone down the saturation, maybe make it a bit darker. Let's say the background is green. I'm gonna make it maybe like this. And the character, right? Its face. What color would make sense for? A bit of contrast. This is like kind of pushing it a bit, might be already on here. Again, this is not like a strict rule. This is how you should think about it, right? By giving the more important thing more contrast. And let's say he has something magical, whatever, and this thing is gonna be fucking purple, right? And so how it should work is you, like, obviously right here, you already see the composition, right? You're not gonna be looking at the clouds, you're gonna look at the character because it's the obvious thing. So it's a very easy thing about color is that you don't really have to figure out what to do with color. The only thing you need to figure out with color is how to do it, right? Like you don't think like, what should I support? Like you already know you have a character, right? That's what you should support. Oh, maybe the clouds. But you need to create the contrast overall between the between the groups of objects. I should have spent a bit more on the examples. I honestly planned, I think I had, oops, let me, tooth color, where is it? Yeah, I had a bit more examples here of like what you should do with, what you can do with color, but it's more about storytelling and how to fix. It's mostly about, before it was like how to support the artwork, and now here it's how to fix it. Like if, man, like look at those, looking at those examples, imagining just how much time it would take me to fill the background, I feel discouraged to do anything. Can I just end the stream and say, fuck everything? Can I alpha? Oh yeah, it works. So let's say you maybe, is this what I want to explain right now? I think I need to do another stream where I would like prepare a good work and would explain, because here it's gonna be mostly solving storytelling and not the real contrast. Okay, maybe we can try something with this one, right? Let me do my best. And I will try to explain what the fuck I'm doing overall. Let's imagine like we are planning the work as all people do by just first blocking out the value. I want this thing to be multiply. Oh, now because it's LAB, it works like shit. Can I addition burn? Can I just make it darken? Oh, darken works great. Oh, no. Drawing on the other end. Can I? Yeah, this should be better. Now I can just change the opacity. Yeah, let's just like plan how it works. This is actually inspired by Piotr Jablonski, mostly by his. I will not be trying to fix the same things in the composition as he did, but just to. It's gonna be about different stuff than what I had this example for, but this was inspired by this work, right? Just to make it clear. So right now I'm just gonna plan how it would look, how it would be blocked out generally with the values. I'm sorry, I cannot go straight into color because I want to make this example to be helpful for most people, not just. And also the thing, like I was never really good at color. This whole explanation that I have is because I needed to help other person with color, and I was like asked questions, and I first said I don't know how the color works. Sorry, not I'm not the best person to explain it. But then I just took a minute and I thought about it for a bit, and then I realized, oh, it's the same thing like everything else. I tried to suggest like ways to exercise what I was teaching, and it worked really well, really well. So I know it works. I'm just probably the worst person to show it. This is also another thing about this stream. I know it's low quality. It's much. It would be much better as a video, but I spent so much time and I never finished it. So I was rewriting. Maybe someone else will watch this and think, yeah, it makes sense, but the stream was shit. So they will make their own video or stream or whatever, where they will explain the whole thing. I will try to explain more whenever I get to like actually coloring. Maybe now. But it's the same thing that I will try to solve with the values and with like everything else. So what I'm trying to solve right now is for those characters to be readable, visible, have a good balance. Whenever you look at it, you'll be like, oh, you instantly look at this weird dude, you look at his friends, I suppose, and then you look at this character who's just jumping away. Maybe he's scared of them, maybe whatever. And so we need to support this composition and still have colors, right? Because people like when stuff has colors. Can I use it on color? No, I can't. In a LAB, I cannot use it on color, which is, maybe I should like change the. Can I just like copy this troop to a new file that is sRGB? Yeah, it looks a bit different, but whatever. What was the color background? Yeah, this looks better now. I can colorize it. Probably. No, well, it's a new file. What the fuck? It's a new file. I should be able to do it. maybe it's like why? Oh, that's why. Okay. Yeah, now this works, but I need to probably create a separate group. Yes. And I guess because of that group, it was still treating it as a different, which is a different, what's the word? Color. Can I save this file? Yeah. Different color space. It's not about the color space, it's about color algorithms mostly. But yeah, because it was in folder, which is like impressive, right? So we'll try to colorize it somehow. Okay, let's say it's a normal environment, it's a blue sky, whatever. Whenever I try to colorize black and white, I often just fill one color and then try to fuck with it. Until it kind of makes sense for what I want. Maybe let's go a bit abstract because of. Can I? No, for such a radical changes we would need to play with the values. Not now. Not now. Maybe I should first fill the background. Yeah, probably. Wait, why is it not? Ah, this one. Okay. Let's just play with what fits the value and will not give us crazy insane saturation. And will also make sense for a general color for the ground. Yeah, no, this is quite neutral. Whatever, looks good enough. Oh man, it's really awkward to draw such weird stuff for the explanation. I personally feel like orange creates a good contrast for this one, especially against the background. So I will maybe first I will do a bit more and then we'll try to explain what the fuck is going on. Wait. Why is it? Oh. It's blue, not because I wanted blue, I just picked some color with max saturation to later adjust. So what we want is we want for this character to be a bit supported with color, but not so he would be the most important thing here, right? Like with high saturated green. We are slightly limited by the value we are trying to colorize, but we can also limit ourselves. Like, it's not the most important thing here. And you might think it's obvious that we don't want to make him high contrast green. No, there will be other things that will work that way. So we don't want a huge contrast to separate him from this character, because they both create this sort of structure, right? Where characters are closer to this color, but they still have to be readable. I feel like this one should be red. Again, the color doesn't mean anything. It's just easier to spot where I colorize. Okay, so now you don't really have like a big preference between at whom you're gonna look. So you first obviously what the fuck? It's a group. It's not a layer, it's a group. That's why I can draw. At first you obviously like notice this guy whenever you look at the illustration overall, and with color we want to support it, right? For some reason he's like really fucking dark right now. Oh, he was dark, wasn't it? Yeah. And then we kind of need to make those characters visible, but not too much, and still have this sort of united structure to it. But for what might be the main character, we can do a slightly different treatment. Can I delete it this way? Yeah, can. now a bit of problems that we will have to fix is that yeah, we sort of figure out what color should be what, but at the same time, if you know the sky is blue and maybe the character is more lit with an orange sun, his GI, global illumination, should be a bit switching towards the sky color. So we're just fixing logical stuff most of the time here. Maybe not so much. Yeah, this shift is already enough. I feel like I've put myself into a trap by drawing crazy bullshit and look, again, I hope someone else will take this information and might be, well, you know, what he's drawing is maybe not that good, but the actual like meaning, like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Again, what we are doing right now is mostly adjusting to like the actual lighting environment, so it would look more realistic and coherent, where if the sky is blue, it slightly pushes, or not like blue, whatever this blue purple color is, it's gonna be slightly pushing the shadow into this area. But I hope this example will be also good in a way that, you know, like, this is complete bullshit, right? Like you obviously can say, look, I you know, I'm mostly right now doing 3D, so I'm also limited with my skills, but what I will try, there will be more examples. What I'm trying to say is, even though it's complete bullshit, it still kind of makes sense, and the color helps the composition a bit. Can you show an example in 3D then? By editing some materials from finished projects. I can actually just show you like my work, because I've planned for most of this stuff, and I remember most of it. Let me give you some examples. My examples in 2D honestly are not that great, because they were much earlier in my career. I guess I can have this as the, and this as big examples that work, but I never really thought about it that much. For example, here again, the composition would work no matter the color, right? The composition would work no matter the color, but here it's really supported by a red face with blue, saturated blue parts of the gas mask, while the whole character is really desaturated and rarely blue. And the same thing where this has a bit more contrast than the rest of the character, but obviously not as much as the head. So again, it's one of those things where I was trying to explain how planning, like the problem with color is rarely about like what to do. It's most of the time about how to do. Like you know you're gonna want to show the face, the plate, and the gas mask, like, and the composition already solves it. There is not a lot of stuff to fix. The only thing you can do is to push it a bit harder, as we discussed previously. Yeah, like it still works the same. Well, maybe the plate. Yeah, the plate really gets the extra attention. Here, it's close to the, in value to the pouches and the, what's the word for those things? But here, because of the color, it really stands out. Yeah, maybe we were fixing a bit, but it's, I cannot really tell that I wanted it. That's the problem. And here we have Amogus, and the way I wanted it to be a really primitive illustration in terms of how it works. So here he just has a very like almost perfect framing with this open door, and the background is blue by giving, even though you know the Amogus is red, like in blood, almost like the room around him. Very aggressive looking with red eyes. The framing is in blue to really concentrate on this, because like the around the surroundings, the background is bullshit. I really didn't spend any significant time on it, so I wanted to concentrate as much attention on the character as possible. So first of all, just the contrast of the character is insane, and then it's also framed by contrast color, the blue. Yeah, and in my 3D work, this is not relevant. This is maybe relevant. I just look at it and it just I really didn't have much experience recently with drawing. I am sure I would make this look good, and I am sure 100% that the planning was right. It's just probably before it is gonna be good, it's gonna take me like 2 hours. I hope you're gonna trust me. Just trust me, bro. Right? You've seen my other works, and again, maybe even if I haven't fully convinced you that it's like the contrast and information is the only thing you have to care about, I hopefully at least convinced you that whatever this color harmony is bullshit. So yeah, here again with color I was trying to support the focal points, but also just having some difference is already good, right? Like it doesn't matter if this is yellow and the grip is yellow, just having some difference is already good. And here you can obviously see like how with color I really wanted you to focus on this switch as a focal point, right? So like you can imagine the whole thing being the lowest contrast, then there a bit higher contrast on the yellow parts, on the orange yellow parts, And then there is the focal point. Same thing here, but it's much more focal points here. You can see they are like in interesting parts with interactive switches, because it kind of fucks with your brain whenever you see something and you imagine how it should work, or just like have like even minimal engagement. That's what I'm gonna discuss in the other examples. Yeah, here you really see how the color really attracts your eye into certain parts, makes some, how I would call it, primitive storytelling. Like you look at it, you kind of look at the shape, and you get the idea that you move it up and down to, you know, change the state. Same with here, giving a priority to one part that's in the interesting area. Like you notice how there is no high contrast parts here because there is nothing here. Same here. It's mostly done with shapes. No, didn't really do much with colors here. Yeah, like you can see how now orange is for the overall focal area, and the green is really for that, you know, dedicated part. How it makes it really much easier to look at the work when you don't, you know, everything is decided for you. Here the color is mostly just to show the interactive elements, again just to fuck with your brain and give you some primitive storytelling, like how you look at everything. Oh, you know, it has a high saturated color that's in contrast with the whole model, how it's probably interactive, right? And the same thing here, like everything interactive is orange to make sure you notice it and you kind of imagine how it works. And also just to have something, right? Some priority. Some priority is better than no priority. Here the same, I really wanted to focus the viewer's eye on the casing. So often I would change the materials for each shot to make it work in a composition. Like here, for example, I remember doing it, and there were nothing on the left part attracting the eye, so I added the red emissive color to it. Same thing here, when I want the viewer to focus on this part, I just created a light that's gonna be high contrast color compared to the whole work. So yeah. I still have a plan. I think I forgot something. What to do? What to do about the composition. And like again, what I was trying to say is that with color, you mostly solve the same problems as with everything else, right? Like color is not exclusive to anything, mostly. But what to do with everything else is a question for most people, unfortunately. So I'm gonna quickly suggest something. It's a bit harder to Google right now because he changed his page and like his Gumroad name, but the tutorial from Alex Senichal that I always recommend to all of my friends is like the thing that boosted me so much, because he explained a lot of the stuff in composition. Again, you might look at it and think, oh man, it's, you know, hard surface guns. It's not about guns, it's not about hard surface, it's about art in general. I just trust me, bro. It is really that good. Yeah, like don't look at the gun, please. Just look at the, you know, it's not about the gun. Like even like this gun is a separate video. It's not about the gun. It doesn't talk about this gun. It's about other examples, organic, 2D, 3D, whatever. It's, yeah, recommend. Any plasticity tutorials you cooking up next? No, I don't. I think everything that's needed is already there, which is a good thing, and I don't think I can provide anything that other people can't provide at this point. So I will right now try to show other examples of how color is used. I think while you can make a difference between some of those examples are not, you know, 2D images, they are pictures. So for example here, maybe what's the series called? Annoying Galacticus. Yes, maybe the Annoying Galacticus already have design, so you cannot really change anything. Just for composition and illustration's sake, you can probably change any of those creatures, and it wouldn't really, like, if this guy has, instead of horns, a second pair of ears, and it works for your composition, like you're not gonna really notice this. But here you can't really change anything, and here it gets a bit harder to sort of think what you should change, what you could change. In general, let's, you know, just discuss what is done with color. Here I think color is mostly there to just colorize stuff, right? Because it would be a bit boring, and also to show who's the main character here, right? He's the only one has a really saturated color, and you can sort of create an understanding of hierarchy and grouping, how all of them have pretty samey saturation level, unlike the main character. Here, even though it's a film, it's not a 2D image. Like, who's the, you know, most important character here? Not maybe the film main character, but you can easily understand that the most important character is the one that has fucking yellow scarf. Like no one else has it. No one else has any, you know, different color than green. Here I feel like it's just to support the composition, right? Like you see the guys sitting, and then you want the viewer. Again, did they really have to put a red carpet here? Did it really make that much sense? I don't know, but it supports the overall composition. Like even the fucking lights support it. The room, not the room, how the staircase is framed, where there is nothing else visible other than this, not the hallway, right? But it just supports the composition. There is nothing. Here you can easily, by the use of color, see who's the main character, because very high contrast yellow insides of the jacket, right under white sign, right under red white sign on the. You can easily see how the color of the choice of the outfit really supported the obvious how obvious that he's the main character here, right? And not this guy. sometimes you can use color to again just support the composition, right? Like the woman comes out of, like, there is no color. If this was black and white, it would work the same way, but just because you can put her in red clothing and support the composition even more. The same way here, like the red, the yellow instantly tells you where to look. Again, it doesn't fix anything, right? It doesn't. The yellow sofa doesn't fix anything. It just supports it. And look, this example, right? Who are the main characters? And notice how every single thing creates contrast here, both value, both saturation, both hue, how this is orange, this is more like blue, this is again red, this is white, his face is visible, unlike the other characters who are all in black clothing, which makes it really easy to focus on the focal point. The same thing here, like who's the main character, right? The one who has more orange and more shape contrast, to be fair, right? You can easily see it. And here it kind of works like in real life, where, okay, you have the character, right? You have, face, hands, and she looks, cool, classy, if you can say it like that. But then the bright red, bright saturated, right? It probably would work better if it was blue, but it just, makes sense to have an LED like this red. Your attention gets into the what looks like will be used to blow something from a distance. Here again, color just supports the composition, right? Like you would obviously look at the character, but because it has all the contrast colors around, it supports the composition. Here, the same thing. Like the only thing that's saturated is right behind the character, and it makes an obvious focal point. Like you see, nothing saturated here, not saturated, but no contrast here, no contrast here, no contrast here. It's just like where the focal point is, it's where the contrast will be. Same thing here. And here it kind of looks, it kind of works in a weird way, where in the composition, the storytelling is that you're supposed to see the blade a bit later. So the most contrast and the most most value contrast, the most color contrast is in the background. But here, the moment you look at something else, and you see high contrast, right? And then you kind of get the whole thing. But because he was supported with high contrast, it was a bit easier. What are the other examples? Oh, the good example is Mirror's Edge. Well, this is from the second part, which is making it a bit easier with this red line. But in general, whenever you look at it, you see the red, and you, especially if you maybe saw the trailers, the color works very well because it guides your eye to the interactive parts, and it again engages with your brain, making it a bit more enjoyable. Like you think, oh, so red, maybe you jump from here, maybe you run from here to there. The cranes are red, so you probably use the cranes to jump somewhere. It engages with your brain. It helps the focal points to engage with your brain, and it's kind of how it works in reality, where the stuff that you're supposed to engage with, like switches, something that's dangerous, that needs your attention, it usually gets more saturation, more contrast. So it's kind of the same in reality. I am really fucking tired. But I think I said everything, even if my example was bad. Yeah, even if my example was bad here, I think I've managed to explain most of the stuff that I wanted, and I know it works. And to recap, it's not about the colors, it's not about beautiful colors, it's how your colors create focal points and create contrast with color to support your composition. And don't forget how your overall set of colors can create an association, vibe, genre, which is what I think I forgot. And this looks like Teletubbies. Yeah, should have done it some other way. Wait. Yeah, should have done it some other way. But I'm so happy it ended. Maybe now there's 9 viewers. Probably people who were watching it from the beginning are not here anymore, so I'm not gonna ask you any questions. See you later. Bye.